Good afternoon to everybody. Today we are going to discuss about very important topics of 10th standard. The lesson name is Heredity. So this lesson mostly focuses on about how the characters transfer from parents to offspring and what are the differences we notice from parents and as well as the offspring. As you know, offspring is nothing but child of the particular parents. Okay. So first we have to understand how this heredity came. This heredity came from genetics. Okay. So what is the genetics actually? Genetics is nothing but a branch of biology which deals with the study of genes, characters and the various type of laws is given by the Mendels. Okay. So who was the father of genetics? Gregor John Mendel. Okay. So this is very important to understand because where from this heredity came? The heredity came from the genetics. Okay, so what is genetics? It's a particular branch of biology. So what are we going to study in the genetics? We are going to study the various type of laws which actually differences the characters which is transferred from the parents to offspring and the various kind of studies which is being conducted by the various scientists. Gender evolution, you can see the Gregor John Mendels and so on. See, our topic is only heredity. We have not to go too far into the genetic engineering, but we have to focus on heredity. So if you are going to focus on the definition of heredity, the heredity is nothing but the transmission of characters from parents to offspring. And you know that whenever this character transform, so as you know in the higher category of organisms, they carry the complex type of reproduction that is called sexual reproduction, where the two parents is involved and from both the parents the same amount of chromosome also released at the same time. So it's a sure that there is a differences, there is a similarities. So that is also called one other thing is that the variations. So what is a variation? Variation is nothing but the differences between the parents and offspring. Okay, so that is called as variation. So with the help of some slides, we are able to evaluate and understand in detail about how this things is going to take place. Because this is all what we say is like a very analytical things. You need to understand in detail, then you have to understand with the help of some kind of objects. See here, you can see the one picture here, and this picture depicts that how the character is transformed and how the changes are takes place from one generation to the another generation. As you know that I am a human being. My personal identity is Homo sapiens. Who am I actually is a Homo sapiens. Is not actually the human being. Okay, but how I become Homo sapiens? Previously, I was living in the forest. I was an ancestor of the monkey, chimpanzees, primates family, of the mammalians family. But now I have become a human being. How I become? It's just because of change. It's just because of variation. It's just because of evolution. So what evolution took place? See, with the time, so lots of changes are takes place, and we know that. So how these changes are takes place? The most of the reason is that the geographical conditions, atmospheric changes. So slightly one by one changes are taking place, and that change, which sometimes make a drastic change. You see, they are all in blue colors, and suddenly it is become a dark blue suddenly. So what is this indicates? So this gradual small changes accumulates and makes the evolution. What is the evolution actually? It is nothing but the accumulation of small changes. And one day when there is a big change took place, that is called evolution. And this evolution, small evolution can make the revolution. Okay, so what happens to our generation, or especially to the human beings? that happens, that is called as the revolution. We suddenly change ourselves and came into this world of corporate jungle, or in the world of this modernization. So why we came? Because we have drastically changed our mindset to transform into a human being. So how we understand? Because the most important reason, because of cognitive ability of thinking. If we can't able to think, we can't able to protect ourselves. If you see the other animals, they are also doing the same thing. They have a brain, but their capacity is very limited. But our brain's capacity is very huge. So that we think all the time, and we think most of the time about, and we are self-cautious. So if we feel anything is in danger, then we try to protect ourselves. So why we have constructed such big buildings? Why have constructed such a strong building? For our protection. Why the fan is going to be rotating here? Because for our comfort. So the human is making them more comfortable as much as she. So next, if you see, here you can see the different type of species of the beetles, and some butterflies are there. So what actually you can see that these butterflies living in different geographical areas, that can show the different colors. So why they are showing the different colors? Because of the kind of food they are eating, the kind of environments they are living. If you see go to the Kenya, go to the Africa, go to the Zimbabwe's. So what you can see, they are very darkest people are there. India is like a medium peoples, not so dark and so whitish. But if you go to the England, America, they are very fair complexion. The reason that a geographical condition, atmospheric condition. Same way, whenever there is a change in the weather or some kind of situation, so they get adapted to it. And you see the beetles. So this beetle also living in the different drastic kind of environments, and they got this huge variations in them. Even ourselves also, you can see, if you go to the especially old places like Kashmir and you will talk about fear as well. If you are going to the Africa, Kenya, Zimbabwe, within 2 years you become completely black. So reason that is a point of chemical composition that leads to this kind of body. So that is also good. To be a black and fair, both are very good.
Why only in India there are white and black?
See, we don't have extreme temperature conditions. If you go to the South Africa, Kenya and such kind of regions, they have extreme temperatures like exceeding more than 50 or 60. So obviously, when lots of melatonin are secreting, so that secreting and which makes your skin more blacker and blacker. So when your skin is more black, so that the nature is actually protecting you. It doesn't mean that it's a curse. It is the way of that the sun is actually, your body is protecting yourself from the harsh sunlight, from the UV rays of sunlight. So being a black is a great example of being that you are so healthy. Okay. Next point is that if you see here, heredity, this is present and this is absent. So whenever you are married with someone, try to understand that the both should are healthy in the respective of the genetic disorders or any kind of health issue. So if you are suffering from anyone, so there will be chance that your child may be suffering of the same. Okay. So types of traits, if you can see, these are the different kind of changes you can found whenever you are actually giving the birth to the babies, rolling turns. So these are the different type of deformities. These are genetic disorders. It is not that it is like a disease. Means it is in your gene. So that has to be changed. How it can be changed? When you found that your gene is being like that. So according to the genetics analysis, so either you married or maybe some kind of surgery or some kind of treatment is there. But that is advanced kind of developments you have to find that in the genetic engineering. You can see here there are two types of people living in this world. One is a free lobe and attached lobe. Can you see here? You might have find yourself also. Does you have free lobe or attached lobe? I have a free lobe. Free lobe. Yes. Attached lobe. Attached not. Okay. See here, their ear is completely attached. So two category people we can find in this nature. One is free lobe and another is attached. See, acquired traits. Do you know what is acquired trait and what is hereditary traits? Acquired trait means what? you gain, you obtain, you actually taken. Like, but what is hereditary traits? That is coming directly from your ancestry, from your parents. Okay, see that here you can see there is a two zebras, but this one other one is nothing but a kind of lions. So we actually painted it. So if you painted and if you are living like a zebra, so will you have to become a zebra? No. So you have to genetically become a zebra. So importantly that this type of characters or whatever the genetical characters, there is two types of characters. One is acquired. So acquired means after the birth you acquire the characters, and what is hereditary? That is coming from your ancestry. Like somebody's eyes is very brownish eyes, somebody's curly hairs. So what is that example is nothing but the hereditary character is coming from your parents. Somebody's muscle is very strong. That is not hereditary. That he has been gained by working in the gym or maybe doing exercise. So these are acquired traits. You see, can you say me this is hereditary or acquired?
Acquired.
Acquired, because in birth it is not possible to have such a huge muscles in the body. And you see, the low weight, more weight, depending on the amount of food you are eating. Okay, so your weight can be gained or become less. So depending on the things you can eat. See, there is a one example also conducted. They have taken one mice, okay, scientists, and they made with the two mice. They cutted the both of their tails, and when their reproduction takes place between these two mice, they expected that their child might be a cutted tail, cut off tail, okay, but they found the same one. So what they are doing actually here, the somatic characters cannot be transferred from one generation to the next generation. Only genetic character. So they expected. So these two both parents are having no tail.